What's your life goal, and have you achieved it?
Yeah, I married you.
Aw, gross.
You really need to go out there and make sure the whole world hates you. Oh, perfect.
My butthole is all over the internet.
A fine wine. She keeps me in the basement and pulls me out when she needs me.
If I drink Sambuca, he's getting it.
I bought a case.
Can tell a lot about a person by the way their tits, pussy, or dick looks.
You come near my cheeks and it's not going to be a good day for you, homie. This is going to be special.
Welcome to the Two Onions podcast with Dani Daniels and Vic.
What's up, guys? I'm Dani Daniels. Next to me in an oddly matching shirt color is my husband, Vic. And today we have two guests, both good friends of mine and both just like magical badasses.
I mean, they're friends of mine, too.
No, my friends.
All right.
You can borrow. They started a puzzle company. It is taken off like a bat out of hell. Jordan Gold is here. And Simon, I'm going to butcher your name. Simon Coronel. Just Simon.
Nailed it.
You're just Simon from now. How are you?
We're super good.
Yeah. Like exhausted and sleep deprived and very stressed, but fundamentally great. Dealing with really, really excellent problems right now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you have the good problems, not the bad ones. So everybody knows you guys started a puzzle company. You put it out on Kickstarter, and correct me if I'm wrong, it is the most successful puzzle to ever be put on Kickstarter. And you currently have how many backers? Because it changes every time I look at the damn thing.
We are currently over 26,000 backers as of this taping.
Jesus.
Yeah, and you guys still have I looked before we started. You have 17 days left.
Yeah.
It's not even in the second half.
This is going to come out a few days from now, so there'll be about 2 weeks left for people to back the puzzle, and we'll put all of the relevant stuff in the notes. But congratulations! I mean, that's freaking awesome.
You started. You had. I think your
amazing
goal,
and surprising and gratifying and all the stuff you would think.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Your goal was what? 44 grand.
$44,000 was the goal that we set on the Kickstarter. That was like, we have to hit this to make the project worthwhile and not lose money. Mm-hmm. There's, people look at Kickstarter pages and they just look at these crazy numbers all over the place. And you have to figure it out when you go into it. If your model's not right and you didn't really think through shipping and all that, you can get what looks like a really successful Kickstarter and then just end up in crazy debt because, I'm losing $1 on every single pledge. And I've got thousands of those. That adds up really quick. So,
and I think you covered it so far. I haven't seen the final numbers, but I'm pretty sure going in, we had our numbers in the right. We have the best numbers, basically.
That's the thing I've been thinking about literally every hour of every day is because life experience, right? We can all relate to that thing where you realize a thing you've never even thought about that bites you in the ass later. I'm thinking, okay, what's the thing that we're going to realize 6 weeks from now that we really should have thought about 6 weeks ago that's going to just ruin the whole thing? I'm like, okay, we're still good. I think we seem to have thought of everything. Can't think of everything.
No, it's funny.
Think ahead to the next problems.
We did a Kickstarter. It was Indiegogo, but similar theory. When she started the box company, and we were doing the monthly boxes, and what we didn't think about was somebody has to mail these goddamn things.
Yeah.
And luckily, as we were going through the process, it kicked into our mind, and we started interviewing warehouses, and we wound up landing on a phenomenal group of guys that have been with us for the last 4 years for it. But yeah, that was like you said, it was like, oh shit, yeah, we got all the boxes, but now we got to get them to the people, you know?
Yeah.
What were we thinking?
Yeah.
We have a magician friend, John Wilson, who has this theory that like our stupid monkey brains essentially can't comprehend the number over 7. As in, if I took 4 pebbles and I threw them on the ground and I said, how many pebbles are there on the ground? You'd look down and you'd say, oh, there's 4.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to think about it. Your brain would just bing. You just see 4 as a unit. But if I took 8 and I threw them on the ground, you wouldn't see 8 as a unit. You'd see probably like 2 groups of 4.
Yeah.
But like even 7 is like 3 and 4. Once you get past 7, your brain just goes, it's too many. I don't know. It's a lot. You have to count them individually. And we made prototypes of the puzzle to send out. You guys got
Yeah,
one. We sent
yeah.
one. And we made about 100 of them. And that mailing just 100 puzzles, that doesn't seem like a lot, was it just like a crazy undertaking. It just, the boxes were stacked floor to ceiling, and we're just like, Simon had to create some ridiculous spreadsheet database to organize all the names.
I don't want to give anything away, but like your packaging, it's not just like a box with puzzle pieces in it. There's more to it. So it's like, it's just that alone. I can't imagine like doing all the, packing all that stuff.
By yourself. Yeah. Not having a company doing it for you. Just, you guys in a room somewhere just stuffing things. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why it's really good that we luckily are working with some people who are experienced enough with this kind of large-scale fulfillment way up front to get the manufacturing, the fulfillment, the delivery, the shipping, like all of that figured out. So it's just the...
But let's go back a bit so that everybody understands. So the name of the company is the Magic Puzzle Company, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and you guys have 3 puzzles that you've created.
That's right.
And they're not just your average jigsaw puzzle. They're jigsaw puzzles with a magic twist. Is that a good way to describe it?
Yeah.
Having done it, I know what the twist is, but we want to make sure
Don't give it away, Vic.
We want to make sure people understand that you're not this isn't your average. This isn't a puzzle you've done before. This is something that's going to be a little bit different. It's a lot of fun. It took us 3 days by the time we went through it, but we had a blast.
And a lot
doing
of
it.
Just utter confusion, but
there
like
was
in a good way. In a good way. And
there were also a lot, I think you said it on your Kickstarter, there's a lot of Easter eggs inside the puzzle itself and cool stuff that you're looking at. So it's a fun time. Like I said, this isn't the frustrating, holy shit, there's 50,000 black pieces. What are we going to do with this? It was a lot of fun.
It's funny when you guys sent me like a tester, I was like, okay, yeah, and Jordan, you're like, well, if you get some time, just like tell me what you think. So I'm like, okay. So we had a free afternoon and I was like, hey, like come do this puzzle with me. Like we got a couple hours to kill. And so we set it down. 3 days later, we're like, we have to finish this damn thing.
my daughter's
apartment, we're like trying to figure it out on like our tiny coffee table. We're like, what is going on? It was so fun.
This was, I think, we had moved into the new place, but prior to us actually having a coffee table yet. So, and my daughter was here, and she was like, she left and was really frustrated because she didn't get to see the magic side of it. So,
I loved getting. You texted me so many videos of you just like. Either super frustrated, you were like, we're so lost right now, or just super excited of like, oh my God, our brains are exploding right now.
Every time we thought we had it figured out, we were like utterly wrong. So it was a blast though. When you guys first launched, I was like, I'm getting the other ones because now we're just addicted.
Yeah.
And I clicked open the Kickstarter and like I would watch it just like keep raising. We sat there, like, drank our coffee. We're like, look at this.
It's like,
it was insane. I've never seen
what's the number at now?
Yeah.
We have one of those bellhop like hotel bells that you ring, like service bells, and we were dinging it every time we hit a milestone. So when we hit our funding goal, which was in the first 2 hours, it was like ding, oh my God, we hit our funding goal, and then. It was, oh my God, we hit $50,000 and we hit $100,000 and we hit 10,000 backers, ding, ding, ding. And by day 3, I was on the phone with my dad and we had just passed $1 million in funding. And I dinged the bell and my dad goes, what was the ding for? And I said, well, it was supposed to be for milestones, but we've run out of those because we've hit #1 puzzle ever on Kickstarter and most funded and most popular. There's just nothing left. So now anytime there's a number that seems like a nice round number, I'm like, I'll just hit, all right, 26,000, that doesn't mean anything, but I'll hit the bell because I'm out of reasons to hit the bell.
Yeah, it's like, it's all 7s in the number right now. Ding, cool.
Yeah, that's fun, yeah. The number ends in 69. We'll hit a ding.
Yeah.
That works.
What made you guys, I know the answer to this question, but for those listening, where did this come from? How did this start?
So, I love that this is the perfect podcast to be telling the origin story on.
This is what people don't realize is, you had you inspired us in a lot of ways to make this puzzle, which is also going to be different than what people think that it means. But the crazy thing about when we finally hit launch, it was a year of Simon and I working with our partners just on this project. But it was actually the culmination of like 10 years of working on, because Simon and I met about 10 years ago and had been working creatively on lots of stuff. And everything kind of not slowly, but it all came together. Like it was a very long process of getting from just being magicians, hanging out, trying to do magic, put magic in the world, to now we have a puzzle company.
Yeah. And because I don't really associate magicians and puzzles together very often, so.
Right.
Yeah. And before, I mean, in the last couple months, because we've all been stuck at home, you know, puzzles all of a sudden have become really popular and they've been in the news and they're like a big deal right now. And everyone's looking at us like, how did you launch this amazing puzzle company at the peak of like puzzle popularity? And it's a happy coincidence, but like a year ago, we looked at the world of puzzles and we're like, you know, there's people who love jigsaw puzzles are everywhere. They just don't talk about it because it's not exciting to be like, oh, I'm in their jigsaw puzzles, you know? And finally, now that we're all home, it's kind of cool to be into them. Yeah. And so it's not that everyone's into them all of a sudden. They're just more open about being into them than they ever were. But to get back to the question of how we designed it, is it started with, we met both of you at this event called Brookledge, which was sort of an underground.
No, just her. I wasn't there. I met you the next night.
That's right. Well, we met you, and then so we met you at Brookledge through a mutual friend, which is this underground like Hollywood variety show. It's the people that it's the Larson family that started the Magic Castle. It's their estate, and they have a theater in like secretly in the secret garden.
It's as cool as he's describing it, by the way.
It's cooler. Yeah, I can't describe it as cool as it is. Like,
except for the fact that like before I went inside, I texted Vic and I was like, if you don't hear from me in a couple hours, someone murdered me and left me for dead because I'm just going into someone's house, basically.
You have seen my bathroom. But the other thing is the great thing about Brooklyn, it's like actually cool, not just pretentious cool. Like it's actually just really fucking great, talented, amazing people doing really interesting, cool stuff out of the love of the art and the creativity and the connection of it, not just out of some kind of pretentious scene thing.
And I've noticed like magicians like hype each other up. I didn't like sense a lot of competition in a way. Maybe I'm wrong, or maybe I just blind to it, but
doing good stuff and appreciating everyone else is doing good stuff. Like at that point, you're just celebrating good shit being done in the world, and it's a beautiful thing to see. Except some ones with anchors, like fuck those people.
and Brookledge is a very special community. Like Simon said, it's just artists that get invited by Erica to come showcase their art for other people that are into it. It's just like, hey, let's get an audience and let's get some performers and let's do a show just because we have a theater and we have artists in an audience. Like, let's do it. And especially now, like in retrospect, when we're all stuck at home and like we can't connect, it's like, that's like the coolest thing we could be doing is just getting together and creating art and sharing it. Yeah. And that there's a whole backstory of Brookledge and how Simon and I each individually sort of got into the Brookledge world and community, and then met each other and worked together.
Did you guys meet at Brookledge? I didn't know that.
We met. Oh. Well, we met at the Magic Castle, but it's all connected. I mean, it's the same group of people. The Magic sort of community is a very small one globally, but even in Los Angeles, it's sort of this epicenter because we have the Magic Castle, and magicians either move to LA to be around the Magic Castle, or they come through LA a lot to be around the castle. So this is magic. LA is a very magical town because of that. So we met you, and that was cool. And we were like, "You're cool," and you're like, "You guys are cool," and you invited us to your art show.
Yep.
I just realized actually that I remember because we were introduced directly through Bob Self, great guy, mutual friend, and he introduced you and I by going, "Oh, you two Dani was just in this book I was doing. Shit, Simon, I should have called you about that. So we were nearly in a book together.
Almost. Probably not the book that people are thinking, but
yeah. I have one burlesque magic routine that involves taking up. This was Bob Sell's book of basically people who, in whatever context, work naked in some capacity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we met, he was like, "Oh shit, you have that thing! That would have been cool." Oh well.
Yep.
But we met.
And then we basically became instant friends, and then then you met Vic.
Yeah, and then you guys came to the art show the next night, right?
Yep.
Or a couple of nights later.
Yeah.
So and after just hanging out for a couple nights in LA, and you got to see our art because we showed you some magic in Brookledge, and then we got to see your art because you invited us to your art show, and we're like, this is awesome, and we became friends. It was like, oh, great, we're friends now. This is a thing. And then you guys invited me to your wedding. It was a year later, but it was a couple months later. I got an invitation, and I was like, this is awesome. I'm going to, this is fun. And I went to Simon and I said, Simon, I have this crazy idea. I want to make like a special magical wedding present. And so we started working on it. It actually started as we were at a magic convention and we saw this it's a playing card that had like a picture of a naked lady on it. And you would put it together one way and it would be a full card, and you'd put it together another way, and all of a sudden part of the naked lady was missing. And it was not
like 1960s dirty postcard.
Yeah. Like a pinup thing. Yeah.
It was like
it was very well done. It was a funny concept in that sophomoric sort of vagina kind of way, but it was like the image wasn't very good, the layout wasn't done very well. But it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
The core idea of what it was really was like, I think we can do something much better with this. But the execution of it was just all wrong. And Simon was like, I actually have done a lot of work on the mathematics of this illusion. And I'm like, okay, great. So then
I'll copy your homework.
Then we started working together.
Math. Awesome.
There was this moment where we were talking about how to make the geometry work, and Simon was telling me the type of picture that we needed to find. And again, this was supposed to be a surprise, so I couldn't just text you and say, "Hey, can you send me, a specific photo?"
Oh, I could only.
Hey, can you?
Google search history just got real ugly real quick.
So I have a photo of Simon like in a booth in some cafe that we're at, like with his legs up, and because he's like, you want the crotch region to be in the middle 30%.
Yeah, with this much error margin on the sides because of the angle that we need to do to make this geometry work. So I just actually like it's like doing the pose, right? It's like, we want like a picture where it's like sort of centered, and like kind of. And Jordan took this photo for reference to be like, all right, this is what I need to go
Oh my
Google
God, I love it. I hope it's your
We'll
contact photo.
Yeah, we'll send you the photo. And so then I have this photo of Simon like in a cafe, just all spread eagle in a booth. And then I'm Google searching you, and I'm like comparing Simon. I'm like trying to find.
You're like, I swear this is for work. I swear.
Well,
Jordan had some confusing dreams the next few days. There was some weird shit that in there.
Yeah.
And just to throw out, thank God, Jordan, you have the coolest wife ever. Because that could have gone really ugly real fast.
Just trying to explain what we're doing.
We're really into work. So Jordan finds the perfect photo eventually. And he sends it. I'm like, oh my God, it's the one of you in the wedding dress on the stairs. And we're just, for a wedding, it's funny, it's sexy, it's like, oh God, the positioning of everything is perfect.
Mathematically speaking.
Exactly. And then at the time, what we were doing was we would often meet up for work sessions in an IHOP in Hollywood, because IHOPs are great because they're not popular enough that they need to flip tables.
Yeah.
So everyone just can kind of leave you alone for hours, and they have Wi-Fi and like booth seating and big tables, and it was just like this perfect working space that's out of our living spaces. And so we finally go, the deadline's coming up. We need to get this to the printers to get it printed and then cut it out and everything. We go, right, we got to nut this out today. We got to finish this. So I'm like, all right. And we're like doing the geometry. And all the mathematics and stuff was basically my division, but then Jordan and I have this great kind of shared design brain where each of us sees bits the other had missed about, color, composition, layout, wording, just all the billion details to make something good.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're like really into it, and I'm like doing the layout, like trying to get, think about like the DPI of the print resolution and looking up the bleed guides of the printer we're doing and like all the stuff. And I suddenly realized we've been in this IHOP for about like 4 hours now. And most of this has been me on my laptop with Photoshop open and Illustrator. I'm doing this stuff. Just really just zoomed in on your vagina. That's the key feature. The missing piece is where it's going to be. And this happens in magic a lot when you're doing like magic with money or bills. You stop thinking of them as money; they become props.
Mm-hmm.
And it was that. Like this was not an image of a naked woman.
Yeah.
This was like geometry to me. So I'm like, yeah, get up a bit, move that to the left. And I suddenly realized like, I look like the biggest fucking deviant creep in the middle of this IHOP with just a really zoomed in vagina.
I'm surprised you didn't get arrested.
The
It was in Hollywood, so
The waitress, yeah, right. Waitress coming over. So you want a refill with the coffee?
we still weren't the top 10 weirdest people in that IHOP, which was Lucky's.
It's true.
I then made like a temporary censorship bar just while we were in IHOP while I kept working on it. Like this is awkward.
Oh, it's definitely the best. The absolute best wedding gift I've ever gotten.
This was something that we saw, again, because we saw the original version that existed in the world that we're trying to fix and make better. And Simon had already done work on it. We both thought like, yeah, we can easily do this. And it was like literal months of work just to get it to where it was. And then the other part of it was normally this type of trick is performed by a magician. Like you pull out the pieces of the card and you show it to somebody. But we wanted to make it work for, like we wanted to just hand an envelope to somebody and have them be able to open it and it works. And that had never been done before either with this type of illusions. And then we had to come up with like this whole envelope inside of an envelope process where you open it up and there's pieces and then there's instructions. It's like, don't open this before you get to this part. And all of the core elements of sort of designing this illusion to be done without the magicians there is really the foundation of what the puzzle is, because we designed a jigsaw puzzle that's for all ages.
There's no vagina in their puzzles, by the way.
No vagina.
Puzzle is completely family friendly.
Family friendly. But you get to the end of the puzzle and then it does a magic trick, but it has to do that without the magician being there.
Yeah.
And so this card that we ended up making as just a fun gift for your wedding ended up like, we really, at the end of designing it, we're like, this is cool because, it's our friend and like one side is your logo and the other side is you. But the process as well of like, we were giving this to people and just, it's great as a magician to hand something over and not have to perform. Watch somebody
has that ever been done? I can't think of any time. I mean, you guys know way more than I do.
Sort of limitedly and mostly badly. There have been different variants of the idea, but none of them really like nailed it. They really got it good.
And just for the audience purposes, we actually did this in the Magic Castle, where Jordan, you gave it to me to do in the Magic Castle on a night that I had to have somebody else's shirt to get into the Magic Castle. If you remember correctly, we literally stole a guy's shirt going out the door so I could get in.
I remember that.
Yeah, you showed up. I sent you the dress code, and then you showed up, and you looked fantastically not in dress code. You looked great. You were.
It had to be a collared shirt, and I had a jacket on without a collared shirt on, and so I wound up some guy walking out the door.
It was our friend Alan Bursky, who is the youngest comedian to ever appear on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, was walking out the door. And I was asking the front desk if they happened to have an extra shirt, because in the past they used to keep more extra clothes on hand, and then they kind of decided they didn't have room for that anymore.
Yeah.
And Alan comes out and he goes, what? And he's like a New Yorker. He's like, what do you need?
No, because you went up to him and you were like, I need a favor. I'll never forget it. And he was like, what? And he's like, you're like, I need your shirt.
And then in true New York fashion, he's looking at you like, you want the shirt off my back?
Literally.
The other
the shirt
probably
off his back.
only New Yorker in the Magic Castle.
That it was Bursky as well. It was like the funniest thing. You could have done that too.
Did he ever get his shirt back?
Yeah, I dry cleaned it and sent it back, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, I remember you doing that. It was the next time we were at Friday lunch. You had his shirt for him.
Yeah. Bursky has his own history with the Magic Castle and the members there, but he's one of the. If you ask anybody there, he's like the last thing anyone would ever expect walking into the Magic Castle is Bursky taking his shirt off in the middle of the lobby and giving it to a stranger.
To a random guy from New York. Yeah.
So it was pretty cool. It was a very magical night.
Alan Bursky is sort of like the Magic Castle's like faintly malignant but fundamentally beneficial house elf. He's always there.
That might be the best description.
Oh my God.
That might be the best description of the man I met, and it's hysterical because I'm literally taking my shirt off to give to him, so he can go out the door with the shirt. So
Yep.
That was a great moment.
Is in like the world of magicians is performing at the Magic Castle the top? Like what's a you made it moment?
When you can actually make a living is when you've made it.
You're not just impressing your friends.
That's definitely a fun one. The castle has a really rich history. I mean, it was two brothers, Milton Bill, who's it was their dad's dream. Their dad, Bill Larson Sr., was a professional magician. His dream was to have this magical clubhouse, and he founded the Academy of Magical Arts in Genie magazine, which was the magic magazine that he also founded. So it's the oldest magic magazine that he founded this organization in, and then the two brothers found this Victorian mansion in the Hollywood Hills in the 50s, and they created this crazy dream of like, we're going to make this clubhouse for the Academy of Magical Arts, and it's been open for the last until 3 months ago, but it's been open for the last 57 years, 58 years, something like that. And LA is not known for places to be open that long. Most restaurants don't last very long. And it's, for me personally, like I saw the Magic Castle on TV as a special when I was younger, and I just went, that's the place. I got to go. I know I got to go to school now, but later when I can, I'm going to the Magic Castle, and I moved to LA and I never looked back. And I think Simon has similar, that's why Simon's in LA.
Story, but Australia. So more intense.
So you had a little bit more of a hike.
A bigger boat ride.
It has 50 years of magicians basically upending their lives and moving just to be close to it as a history. And so it's a very special place in magic and for magicians, for sure.
Go ahead.
And it was really cool that we got to do the puzzle actually in the castle. So that was the fun part of it.
And that was where it got interesting, because in the process of working out how to do the incredibly complex iterative design process of working out the scripting of the instructions and how to, where to place the envelopes and all the details, we had to test it on people.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to go here, do this, and then watch and listen. It gets like game design or product design or software design, which is my background. And in doing so, we discovered that we always thought it'd be good. Right. It's funny. It's cool. It's surprising. But like the reactions were even better than we expected. Like many people said, that is the best magic trick I've ever seen. And it's not the most baffling or impossible one by a long shot.
Yeah.
But in terms of the overall experience of surprising, delightful, slightly titillating, funny, clever, like it hits a lot of different emotional notes in the experience. And the overall experience of it was people were loving. And we realized like we got something here. We're onto something.
Yeah.
I'm glad that my crotch contributed to your successful puzzle company.
Let me be clear. It did not just contribute. We would not have a puzzle company.
So you can technically say that my crotch is the foundation
on which this puzzle company was built.
Without any exaggeration, that is true.
Yeah.
What is?
We did not realize that original little trick that we made for you was actually the original prototype for what would become the puzzle company and the product. We just thought of it as a fun trick, but it actually was the beginning of the process of the whole thing.
And the cool part, I'm sorry, Simon, go ahead.
There were two more elements to it as well, because one, when eventually we met Max, who was the person who had the idea, jigsaw puzzles are always selling well and are always in demand, but they're always the same kind of stuff. I reckon we could innovate, make them better, and that'd be good. And we went, oh yeah, it's a good idea. Mm-hmm. And then when we went, wait a minute, this might be able to be applied to a jigsaw puzzle, the Dani card, as we ended up calling it internally, was what we showed him as a proof of concept. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, Max, do this. I think we could apply this to a jigsaw puzzle. And he's like, oh my God. And then the Magic Puzzle Company was born. And number two was, even though I'd spent years interested in sort of the geometric magical principles behind these kinds of things, most of the work I'd done had been kind of rough theoretical. It was in doing the Dani card that I really had to nail down the formulas and the formulae and really get it figured out. That was what eventually led to us having the good enough mathematical basis to make the actual puzzles. So it was on all these levels.
What does the Magic community think of your puzzle company? Are they for it? Are they
jealous as all hell?
Well, I mean, you're definitely opening the door to a new realm of magic that it hasn't really existed before.
It's we launched this at a very interesting time, because right now everyone that we know that was performing for a living, their entire year is gone. All their events are canceled. Mm-hmm. So we have people, some of our friends are trying to figure out how to do online shows and Zoom shows and online events. And the other half are just trying to figure out what the hell to even do, because some of our friends, their whole act revolves around audience participation and being in close proximity. And that just isn't going to translate anymore.
Yeah.
So we put this out to our Magic community. We just said, hey, we're working on this thing. And we had an overwhelming response of people who were delighted by it and backed it and supported it. And I think they're excited to get it. But I think that some of the people that we know are now sort of trying to think, how can we use magic to maybe create something that we can sell? Because I think we were just a little ahead of that way of thinking. And if we weren't in the current situation that we are right now, I think people would be like, oh, you made a magic puzzle, that's cute. And it did well, congratulations. But I think now more people are probably looking at it being like, oh, maybe that's something that I could be doing too, is thinking about things in a different way.
Yeah,
the other great thing about, there you go.
It's Simon, you were saying, and you had said this before, Simon, it gives the power of the magic to the audience that you guys created, and you don't even have to be in the same damn country as the person who's doing the trick that you created, and they're a part of it. It just sells on so many emotional levels.
We're much more like magic designers now. We're like a puzzle designer designs a puzzle, and then later the solver solves it, and it's sort of this this back and forth between the puzzle designer and the solver, but separated through time. Mm-hmm. And in magic, we're used to being the magician and presenting a magic trick in real time to an audience, and now we kind of get to spring load the magic trick in a box and then send it out, and then people get to open it and experience it whenever they want to.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's fun.
I'm so happy for you guys. I can't even. I think it's
really cool.
Yeah. The artists that you have, because you have 3 different artists for your first 3 puzzles. Did you have any issues explaining to them the kind of art that you needed? Because I can't imagine.
Yeah, it's complex. Isn't.
Yeah, that became a big part of my job within the company for most of the year, was as kind of artist wrangler. Because
oh, God bless you.
But because sort of I'm the one who has the most intimate knowledge about this and everything else, and the art requirements are so specific. So I had a lot of back and forth, and we knew it would be difficult. So we spent a lot of time preparing this really complex artist briefing document with layout diagrams and good examples and guidelines and suggestions and color guides and everything else. And luckily, all three of the artists, Sarah Beacon, Boya Sun, and Felicia Chow, were all great. Like, each of them knocked it out of the park in really interestingly different ways. And they even came up with some sort of takes on it we hadn't expected ourselves, which was awesome. So it was a really great collaboration. We gave them really good data. We were really responsive and wanted to give them enough room to express themselves, but also, like, within these very specific constraints that have to be done for the magic to work.
Whose did I do? Did I test out?
So you did Sarah's first prototype. So you did one that actually isn't on the market.
Oh. eBay, here I come. No, I'm just kidding. The thing I thought was really cool about Sarah's artwork is it wasn't just something that was pretty that had a magical ending. It's something that, like, when we were doing it, like, each piece had something cool. Well, I don't want to give it away, but, like, each one individually was almost a work of art in itself. Yeah. And there were a bunch of little, like, recognizable things, and, like, as you start to put together, there's even more funny things, and it just, like, built this almost storyline.
Yeah, so it gives you a bunch of different, it touches a bunch of different spots. Obviously it's a puzzle, obviously it's a magic trick, but it is a beautiful piece of art, and like it says, there's a lot of Easter eggs in it. There's a lot of things you're seeing as you're putting it together that are really cool beyond just what it turns into at the end.
Yeah. What we sort of realized with the format of a jigsaw puzzle is, think about, like, most jigsaw puzzles you've ever seen before. It's like a beautiful cottage, oil painting cottage on a hillside overlooking a sunset. And you look at it and you go, oh, this picture's so beautiful. And then you spend the next 10 hours of your life putting 1,000 pieces of that picture together, and you get to the end and you go, yep, this is the picture that I chose to put together. And you kind of, it's the same tone all the way through. And the process of putting the pieces together is fun, because each time you find one, you put it in place, you get a little dopamine hit, you're like, I've made progress. But there's the art doesn't really do anything other than be pretty. And so by working with these illustrators and creating things on a tiny scale, you have a piece and you can look at it and you say, oh my God, there's somebody on this piece and they're doing something. Like, it's a figure and they're throwing something. And then you figure out the piece that it goes next to, and you put those two pieces together, and then maybe the other piece next to it is somebody catching the thing that's being thrown. So now you start with, like, a piece of a story, literally, and then you add another piece to it, and that times 1,000 for the whole puzzle. So even without the magic trick, the art lends itself to sort of revealing these little stories as they go in a way that you can't look at the box art and get all that information. Because if you, like, think about looking at a Where's Waldo book, you're looking for Waldo, there's all sorts of stuff going on, but you get fatigue if you just stare at the page for 10 hours. But a puzzle is designed for you to spend that much time with it and actually look at every piece. So now we can actually design it in a way that there's all these things to notice. And then on top of that, the magic trick provides this dynamic element where not just you put the picture together, but now the picture is able to actually change and move in a way that provides new contexts that you didn't have before. So there's sort of this mysterious element of you don't know exactly what you're getting into when you look at the box art with ours, because there's something hidden in there that you have to discover through the process of solving, which doesn't exist in any other jigsaw puzzle. And we did all this because we thought, like, we can design this to be more fun than it has been in the past. And the response to that has been really great so far.
Yeah, we say, like you said, you have so many backers. So fast forward to the most important questions. Are you going to be able to fulfill them? Yep.
I asked Ben basically what's our success disaster number, where if we hit it, it's actually really problematic, and we're reasonably far away from that. I think we're updating our projections every day, sometimes even more than that, because there's websites you can go to that will like KickTrack and other websites that have analytics on Kickstarter projects, and they'll take into account the progress of it, and they'll sort of tell you, oh, we think it's gonna be this by the end. And we made our own models to try and understand as best we could where our project's going so that we can do our best to fulfill it. And every time we update our model, our Kickstarter breaks our model. It's just like outperforming every model that we can put together.
It's a good problem.
Yeah, it's a good problem, but we're very. It's extremely unrealistic that we would get to a point where we would not be able to fulfill this product. We also, we've been working on it for a year. We've been securing our manufacturing. This is something that it's not something we're trying to scramble together right now in the midst of all this craziness. It's something we've been working on and thinking about, and so we're very confident in all of this. And
so it ends in about 2 weeks. The Kickstarter ends in about 2 weeks.
By the time this comes out.
By the time this comes out, when do you think the fulfillment process will occur after the Kickstarter campaign and you guys are funded and all of that fun stuff?
I mean, the short answer is as soon as possible. And it was funny how it will be. Like, we originally set the delivery date as October, which was intended to be like an under-promise, over-deliver. That like we'd be able to hit much earlier than that. As it is, with this unprecedented demand, that's now realistic. Originally, it was like more than we needed, because then we'd had the Disneyland theory of like tell people 45 minutes and it's actually 30 minutes and it feels short and it's good.
Yeah.
Now we're glad we said that because it looks comfortably like we'll be ready in time, but no, a little bit less aggressively, delightfully early than we originally planned.
That's awesome.
We had a really funny moment that thankfully is all sorted, but about a week ago, just as the orders just spiked up like a rocket, where as part of the development process, one of the many things we looked at was many different samples of cardboard, like what do we print these on? And we gradually found there's this one particular type of cardboard that's just overall the best. Like some are better in some ways, some are better in other ways, but there was one that was like, this is the overall going to give us the best quality pieces. And it suddenly looked like we were in danger of exhausting the entire world's supply of it. As is, we've now found more of it. It's okay. But like, from what we're like, we might be heading towards the limit of how much of this cardboard is on Earth right now until they can manufacture more 6 months out.
Yeah, we had to secure premium puzzle stock because we
track some down in like different warehouses around the world and go like, can we? And they're like, okay, good. We're fine now. We're good for cardboard.
I have a distinct thought that you guys are going to suffer from the success of, once they're done with these 3, they're going to be like heroin addicts jonesing for 4, 5, and 6.
That's how I felt after doing the first
we
one.
have already, in the past year, in the development phase for this one, a lot of what came out of that was a lot of other ideas for future series of like other cool, subversive, surprising things to do with jigsaw puzzles. And so we have now a wealth of ideas and like in various stages of development, and so now we just need to decide which one are we going to push ahead with series 2.
I think we need to go all the way back to the beginning and do the Danny Card version 2.0. So that we can really like innovate from our roots,
The not
every puzzle starts.
The not safe for work puzzle.
Magic puzzle comes in After Dark edition.
Comes in a brown paper wrapper. It's like.
It's funny because even with that original Danny card, it's like with anything you work on, right? By the time you've done it and done more things, you discover more things and you realize you could have done things better the first time around. We've already got significant improvements to it that we would make now if we did it again. Like, just, give it a little 10%, make it a bit better design, make the experience a bit smoother, and enhance the funny and clever things about it, all that jazz.
Love it.
Well, guys, you get stuck now because you're guests on the show. You have to answer the 10 questions I ask every guest.
Oh, God, I should have done some research. Gordon, you didn't tell me about this.
Strapping yourself in, guys.
Right.
All right. What's the most annoying question people ask you? Jordan.
Oh, as a magician, it's usually like, can you make my wife disappear? Some version of that.
Simon?
It's exactly the same. I actually wrote an entire article on my blog about just a week in the life of a magician, particularly on a cruise ship, and the comments and questions you get. I kept an actual journal of everything I was asked and just reported verbatim.
What's your blog?
Thingsbysimon.com.
Okay.
Oh,
I actually want to read that.
I'm in on this.
It's very infrequently updated, but it's just stories from behind the scenes.
Were you actually a cruise ship magician?
Until a month ago, yeah.
I didn't know that.
That was the main way I was paying my bills while I tried to work on bigger, more exciting, cool, creative projects and things like that. So that was basically my barista job at Starbucks while I worked on my acting career.
All right.
When I met Max, we were hanging out doing magic tricks, and I was like, you got to meet my buddy Simon because he's awesome. And as soon as Max met Simon, he was like, we should hang out more. And Simon's like, well, I got to go work on these cruise ships. And Max said, we can't have that. So we got to do something like a magic puzzle company so we can get you off these ships.
I love it.
Not to cut you off, what's the most odd job magician job you've ever taken? I have to.
Oh, I've got an answer for this. So I was hired by somebody who owns a sneaker store in Burbank, and he was doing a sneaker launch at like 8 a.m. or something like that. And he had this huge line of mostly kids who were waiting all night long outside to just like buy the sneakers. And so he wanted to hire me as a magician to come entertain the people waiting in line. And I thought, oh, this will be great. And then he goes, oh, by the way, like, don't look like a magician. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, I don't want them to know that I hired you because that's not cool. Like, oh, I hired a magician. So I was like, okay. So I wore like street clothes. You know, I did my best. I was like, I'm super street. I'm just going to go buy some kicks, man. And I went, and the first, like, he paid me for an hour, and the first 30 minutes I spent in line just on my phone texting, like, looking like I was texting, but I was actually listening and spying on what everyone was saying and trying to, like, you know, every 5-10 minutes I'd say something like kind of funny to like interject myself as a person into the group. You know, it's like, oh yeah, some story about our this kid took his grandma and made his grandma wait with him for 3 hours to get sneakers. I was like, maybe the grandma took the kid to get her sneakers. Ha ha ha. You know, just some dumb shit, you know. And eventually I was able to just start showing a couple like rubber band tricks to the guy next to me. And luckily he freaked out and everyone's like, what's going on? And the next thing you know, the whole line moved off the wall and created a circle around me. And it was like a David Blaine special. And I did like 30 minutes of magic tricks for everyone. And they were just, their minds were like blown. And then after that, I just sort of ended the show and they all went back against the wall. And I think the owner like came by and had food for everyone that he'd picked up. And then I was like, all right, I guess I'm done. So I walked around the corner. I just left. And the dude handed me cash and he was like, thanks, that was awesome. I'm like, cool. All right. So drove home. It's like 1 a.m. I'm like, all right, this is weird and cool, but neat. I did undercover magic. So
at a sneaker store.
What about you, Simon?
I mean, it'd probably probably a tie. I'm sure there's more. Like there's so many, but one that actually got cancelled because of COVID. I had been booked to do a nudist wedding.
Oh,
Nudist wedding, that's exactly what you think. And they were looking for entertainment that could also perform nude. And there's not a lot of magicians that can do that. But I have this weird niche background of some burlesque performers I knew, and it was a challenge. And I'm like, I've actually done some work on that. So that was going to be a weird one. But the other fun one was twice now I've actually been booked to work on a TV show. One is still up on YouTube, episode 8 of Mindfield with Michael from Vsauce, Science Channel, to basically do sleight of hand in a psychology experiment to like switch things without people knowing to see if they pick up on the way their perceptions model that without spoiling too much.
Oh, that's cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah, a good friend Lawrence Lung back in Melbourne had a TV show called Unbelievable where the idea was, can you convince someone they have superpowers? And I was playing the role of just an undergraduate psychology researcher being like, all right, we got to do this study. Here you go, doing like an ESP card test. I'm like, we just have to do it to check the base data numbers. And then this guy scores an almost perfect score every time. I'm like, so would he believe that he was actually doing that? And I was doing it through sleight of hand and switching the cards. And that was like a really weird and fun gig.
That's
fun.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted your...
My question?
Yeah.
All right, Simon, what's your favorite way to eat a potato?
I mean, fried in whatever context. Fries, steak up fries, thin fries, chop it up and stir fry it with other stuff.
Jordan?
I love them stewed, so I'll throw them into my crock pot when I'm making stuff, and like the way that I use little small potatoes, and the way that they just become like a perfect bite of potato. It's the way to go.
Jordan, what would the title of your autobiography be?
Ooh, well, I have I have one that I want to say because I want to use it someday. I have one for. Oh, my brain is frozen. Here, Simon, you go. Let me think about this for a second.
I've sort of got like, if I wanted to do something that would like be cheesy and sell, it'd be something like engineering the impossible, right?
That's
Background
cool.
in engineering and science and math and getting into magic. But that's like, that's what we would probably do to make it sell. But I'd want it to be something like being like, wait, what? Huh? Because that's more like what the real experience has been. Just like, figure this shit out.
Did you come up with one, Jordan?
Yeah, I'd probably call it Miracle Stones.
Miracle Stones?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Simon.
Behind that.
Simon, what's the biggest turning point in your life so far?
Probably the day. So bit of backstory. I grew up just very basic middle class Australia. We weren't rich enough or poor enough to be interesting. It was just like, it's fine. It's good. And just everyone I knew went to high school. Then I knew I'd probably go to university and study something and then get a job in something and then get married and retire and die, because that's just kind of what everyone just kind of did.
In the middle, yeah.
There's something deep within me I just felt trapped in that. I didn't like it, but I didn't know of any other worlds. I didn't know any performers or creative people or entrepreneurs. I didn't know any other life paths were available. And so when I went to university and got into magic, like this was the first, like, there might be this other world of cool stuff going on I could get into. But I finished university, then got a corporate job, because back then that was still the only option I knew what to do. And there are worse paths, but it was still like, I was just following that standard path. And then after 5 years of that corporate job, which was, again, comfortable, well paid, but a little bit soul destroying, that like gray middle management existence that you're comfortable but unfulfilled.
Yeah.
And the day I quit to go full-time showbiz was profoundly terrifying, deeply. It was like that scene in the Matrix movie when Neo logs out and wakes up covered in goo, and he's like cold and naked and wet and afraid. But now it's real, and now he's in charge of destiny. Like, it was like that. It was profoundly inhospitable and scary, but your life is your own now. Like, it was the day I finally put my resignation into that.
Jordan?
I was 13 years old, and I met Frank Olivier, who it became my magic mentor, imaginary best friend who's not imaginary, and my hero. So I was at my mom's friend's birthday party, and Frank was there performing, and he was like juggling fire on a unicycle and then doing card tricks and then doing tricks with rubber bands, and he's like 6 foot something, and he's like wearing a purple zoot suit and a purple bowler hat, and he's like doing tricks with it. And I just looked up and I'm like, this is the most interesting adult I've ever seen in my life. And he's real. He's like a cartoon character, but he's standing in front of me. I'm like, like, all of the other adults suck. Like, they're all boring. And this guy is like wearing a purple suit and juggling chairs and stuff. I'm like, this is the guy. And I tried to talk to him about magic, and he taught me a couple rubber band tricks, and that changed my whole life. That was like, all I want to do is try and be Frank when I grow up. And if you want to see Frank be very amazing, for our a couple days before we realized that the Kickstarter was going to hit 1 million in funding, Frank was like, I want to make something for you guys. And he has this amazing trick where he puts his head in a box, puts a ratchet on, and he cranks his whole head around 360 degrees. And so I said, maybe Frank, maybe you can do this trick. And my head's spinning around, it's $1 million. And he goes, I'll think of something. And he gave us this 2.5 minute, just mind-blowing video that I can't describe it. You just have to go see it. It's on our Kickstarter page.
Oh, okay. I'll go check it out after we get off here.
It's incredible. So meeting Frank is definitely the moment.
Having met Frank because of you, Jordan, I completely understand. Completely understand. Jordan, what are you most proud of?
Oh boy. I think right now, it's got to be the puzzle company. I mean, it's exciting because it's definitely the most successful thing I've worked on. But it's also the culmination of everything that I've been working towards. It's not just a fun thing that we did that was like a separate idea from everything else we were working on. It's like it encompasses my friendship and creative partnership with Simon over the past 10 years. It encompasses my friendship with you guys. Like, it wouldn't exist without you. And so it really is everyone and everything that I've been surrounding my life with and putting my energy into somehow like bubbled up and became the Magic Puzzle Company. And it's this thing that I get to put all this exciting design, magic love into. And the fact that it's out in the world and people are like, hey, this is cool, we want this, is just so, it's so fulfilling in so many different ways.
Simon?
I had, back in about first year university, I had this epiphany one day sitting in the cafeteria that a lot of people I knew had cool stories, crazy stories to tell or whatever. And I didn't really have any myself because I grew up really shy, really awkward, really risk averse. I was like, unless I knew exactly what I was getting into, I just didn't get into anything. I'm like, it's weird if I don't understand it. And I realized I was unhappy about that. I wanted to have cool stories because those are a sign of also having a cool, interesting life. And even at age like 17 or 18 or whatever it was, I realized that wasn't going to change overnight. I'd like slowly start steering the ship, like slowly. And now, however many decades later, I got so many fucking cool ass stories. And like, it's not just the stories, it's the person I had to slowly over decades change myself into to have those stories. That's what it is for me.
That's fun.
That thing is nice.
So, and I want to jump back in because there's two things as a magician before the magic, because it's easy, Magic Puzzle Company is easy to be like, oh, because it's things like on a rocket train of success right now. But there are two magic shows that I did, both with Simon, that were some of the proudest things that I did in magic. One of which was we did a convention together where they needed a 10:30 a.m. slot. And Simon said, the only thing I could do is like a hungover, half-assed, half-asleep magic show. And I said from across the room, I'm like, you son of a bitch, I'm in. This sounds so cool. And together we made the morning magic spectacular, and it was like a breakfast-themed magic show with us in pajamas doing magic with like cereal and coffee, just completely.
Yes!
And it was so much
like,
fun.
Half awake and swearing like, fuck, oh God, are we still, oh. Shit, okay, magic, right, magic. And like
that show was we were so happy with how that show went that Erica Larson of Brookledge and of Magic Castle asked us to do that show for the Academy of Magical Arts award show, which is like the Magic Oscars. And so for like their after the award show, come do the show, like the gala show, she wanted us to do our breakfast show, and Simon and I were first excited, obviously.
Yeah.
But then we're sitting there going like, wait, the whole point of the breakfast show is at 10:30 in the morning, and we were tired because we were with everyone at this convention. So there was a context there. And it's like we're doing this awards show gala at midnight, 11 p.m. midnight show. Everyone's in tuxedos, and I'm like, we can't come out in pajamas and be like, man, boy, are we tired. That's not going to work. So then we're like, this like a week and a half before the award show, we're sitting here going like, we have to write a whole new show. And the premise was to win an award, you have to work a full week at the castle. That's how you become eligible. And in the back of everyone's mind, when they do their show, of course it's about the art and doing a good show, but you're always kind of like, maybe it would be nice to get nominated. I mean, how nice would that be? And if I got nominated, it might be nice to win too. And so the whole premise was like, this is a one-time show, which means we're not eligible for any awards, which means this show doesn't matter. We can do whatever we want. And so we kind of like broke all the rules, and it was just us just being like kind of magic, like jerks kind of, just like taking everything precious and just ripping it apart and just having a lot of fun with it. And those two shows like were some of the most proud things I have, because Simon and I were able to come together and create something that was like bigger than the both of us, and it was bigger than either one of us would have been able to put together on our own.
I love it.
Really
Was the
cool.
second show a success?
It was a success. Success is relative. Like people liked it, and we did some stuff that people we like. There was a bit where we killed somebody in the show. Like we got a spectator from the audience and just murdered them theatrically, which was also like a play on a common trope in another magic trick. So like there's a popular magic trick where the ending is kind of like you joke about having almost killed somebody, because it's like they pick this option that's don't kill them, and we just fully went like, oh no, we're gonna pick the option where we kill them, and then it's like blackout and like murder sounds, and it was like weird and dark, and
I love it.
It sounds like fun to me. Simon, what takes up too much of your time?
Organization and storage. Just trying to keep the chaos at bay. That you like, again, when you work creatively, particularly in magic, you end up with so many weird objects and things, because I'm always like building new devices and props and stuff, so I keep needing to order increasingly weird stuff off Amazon and all over the place. And the problem is, I'm not a hoarder. I want to be minimalist. I like having an empty apartment, but all the crap in this apartment is really useful for lots of things. And there have been so many times where I have a new idea and go, oh, I need a piece of cardboard this big and a rod of plastic that long. I'm like, yes, I do have all that stuff because I have all. So just dealing with all the logistics of that.
Jordan?
Yeah, it's the same answer that Simon gave, but in a different outlet, different way. It was like when magicians get together, people might think, oh, what do you guys talk about? Like where to vanish a rabbit, or like how to cut somebody's wife in half. And really we talk about like, okay, I need this very specific kind of tape. And it's like, I found the tape that you're looking for. Tell me everything about this tape. And then it's like, how do you organize all the tape that you have at home? And you're like, I figured out this organization system for my tape. And it's like, that's a lot of magic, is just understanding and organizing.
Is that just a drawer of tape?
There's a box of tape.
Tape. It's really fucking important tape. Nine kinds of tape here, and each one's for a very specific thing. Oh, and you know what? This is the other thing. Once you find the right kind of tape for a certain trick, hold up, visual aids here.
You just buy a ton of it?
A lot of that tape.
Yeah.
Because you know when that tape company is going out of business, and you need that tape.
It goes out of business as soon as you discover it, and you realize, as soon as you need it, they're like, "Sorry, we don't make that anymore. It's gone forever."
Like, the amount of times my heart's been broken by that. When you find a good thing.
Jordan, what's your favorite smell?
My favorite smell? Well, actually, right now it's we smellscaped our wedding. My wife smellscaped our wedding, and we. I actually don't know the name of the scent because she just has it. But that's probably my favorite. She has a vial of perfume that she picked up in Chicago that we used entirely for the whole weekend of our wedding. And my wedding clothes still smell like it. So whenever I smell that, I'm just like transported back to my wedding. But other than that, the smell that I actually know is Santal 33 by Le Labo is also like very, and we have a friend who's a trainer in Chicago who uses it in his gymnasium. So it's like you walk in and it's just, those are the two smells that like stick out in my head and I wish I knew the name of our wedding set. I just know it as our wedding
Bad
set.
husband.
Simon?
This is one of the things I love about working with Jordan is we share a core of like dedication to making an experience excellent, but then have these totally different perspectives. And I'm like, I don't fucking know what my shit smells like. Like that's such a Jordan department. And like, oh, I have the exact like specification scent numbers of the scentscaping. I'm like, I smell. One that's right now, I'll just go for like the air after rain. When you go outside and the air and the world smell fresh and new, and it's just great. And I haven't smelled in way too long.
Yeah. Simon, what gets you fired up?
So many things. An interesting problem to solve. when someone's got, it's like, I'm working on this thing that needs this certain kind of tape or whatever, to give an example. And it's like, ooh, interesting problem where it's like, I can like take the cogs in the brain and just like smash them into this problem and really get into it. You know, it's flow state. It's where something's hard enough to be difficult, but not hard enough to be frustrating. And you're in that zone like, fucking let's go. I think this is going to be difficult, but I think I can do it. It's that kind of experience. And Magic has given me more of those than anything else.
That's awesome.
And now the puzzle, well, is very much ticking that box.
Jordan?
My boring answer would be what Simon said, and again in a different way, which is Magic in some form. But not because the answer was boring, but because me having the same answer is boring. But my exciting answer would be when people start talking about bottled water, because I spent...
That's your exciting answer?
Wait for it. I spent like a year working with a genuine certified water sommelier, and I learned way more about bottled water than I ever wanted to know. And it basically boils down to two things. There's bullshit water and there's actual water. It's all water, but there's purified water comes from a factory. It's tap water in a bottle. So like Dasani, Aquafina, it's all the same. It's just tap water from a thing. It's not worth even talking about. And then mineral water actually comes from a source and has like actual dissolved solids in it that come from the ground source. So there's like this split. So I don't like, I think everyone should just drink more water. I want to be fair. And I'm not like a water snob, but when people are like comparing Dasani and Aquafina and like talking about purified waters as though they're mineral waters, I'm just like, okay, it's all tap water, just so you know. And then when people are like, oh, well, like Evian and Fiji water, that's just tap water in a bottle. I'm like, well, it's not. Basically, if I have knowledge about something and then somebody else thinks they do, but they don't, and then I have an opportunity to be like, let me unload on you some of my knowledge, that's kind of what gets me fired up. And unfortunately for me, I happen to know more about almost everyone except for certified water sommeliers about bottled water. So it just comes up a lot. And then I can't help but just let the proverbial fire hose just like, let me educate you about bottled water really quick. And it usually people are either very interested or they're like, this guy sucks. It's just like the worst conversation. So I don't like that I get fired up about it, but...
Well, just this is a great follow-up question for you then, Jordan. What do you wish you knew more about?
Ice. No. That was a different time. Honestly, right now, there's a lot of computer skills that Simon has. He's like a wizard at that I want to get better at. So like everything in the Adobe world, like learning, like it's tough because the answer is like everything that I'm not good at, basically. And there's only so much time and energy to learn everything. So it's always a balance between like, what do I sink my time into and what is that taking time away from? Mm-hmm. But I really admire that, like when Simon and I are working on stuff, he's able to just go into the computer and do this and then things start materializing. And I wish if I could snap my fingers and have those abilities, I would. But unfortunately, it's like Simon's got like 15 years on me of like, and like a computer science degree on me of understanding those things that I don't. So that would be my answer for that.
Simon?
Interestingly, the genuine answer is the almost exact inverse. This is one of the reasons why Jordan and I have had a good creative partnership, because I get all the technical shit. What I don't get is people. Both. I mean, a lot better than I used to.
It's like you are, that is like what you do for a living.
But the thing is, here's where it gets interesting, because with Magic, you're usually mostly working for an audience, which collectively is very predictable. But an individual, you don't know. All the bets are off. Everyone's so profoundly different from each other. Mm-hmm. But also in terms of kind of market success of an idea. Like one of the reasons this puzzle company is so great for me, many times in my life, I've spent a year working really hard on an idea for like a project or a show or something, and it's exciting, and then I launch it and it goes okay, but doesn't really go anywhere. I'm like, damn it, okay, next project, spend a year working hard, and it went okay. It wasn't a failure, but it wasn't a success. And this is the first time I've ever worked really hard on something for a year, and it's actually going somewhere. And it's so deeply, profoundly gratifying. And one of the things I've always struggled with, like I did like a YouTube web series way back with a friend in Melbourne, and it went nowhere. And I'm aware that I'm very bad at assessing what's going to be popular. I have no fucking idea what people are going to be. And so I'm very glad that I finally worked on something. And again, it's partly because of Max and Jordan and Ben who have those instincts, because, yeah, how they work, me baby, knowing that will be popular, that is not me. Right?
All right, Simon, final question. You ready? What's the one question you would want everyone you meet to answer?
Dramatic pause.
I mean, the SFW or the NSFW? But
Both.
The NSFW, obviously. Remember what podcast you're on.
Yeah. I mean, how into me are you, right? That's the thing. Like, because then I know how to proceed. Then I can, if it's not, oh, good, right, we just move on. If it's like very but bad, like either way, you're better informed. What's the real one? Holy crap.
I feel like that is the real one.
That is the real one. I'll come with a better, like, more nourishing humanitarian one in a minute once I've had time to think about it.
Jordan, you want to jump in?
Yeah, there's. I would want to know what do people really want. But actually, what is it that what? It's sort of a version. I don't know the wording of it exactly, but it's sort of like, what do you believe and why do you believe it? Because I think there's a lot of discussion about things that aren't the actual thing that people are actually trying to talk about, and so. I spent a lot of time in the past 10 years before figuring out how to put something together that is now out in the world and working, which is very exciting, thinking about the wrong things because I didn't know what I actually wanted. I thought, as a magician, you think, I want to be like on TV because I saw a magician on TV when I was a kid. And it's like, that's useful if you're trying to get out there to sell tickets to your show. But it's not going to be useful if you just go on TV and then hope that then becomes something. It's like, what do you actually want? Like, do you want your own show, or do you just want like a pile of money to just keep working on tricks in your basement, or like, what is it? And so, I think that if I could get everyone that I meet to actually know what they want and answer like, this is what I actually want out of the world, it would be easier to actually understand what to do with that information, because then it's like, I can help you. I know somebody that I can introduce you to. Or it's like, that's cool. Like, good luck with that. I don't know. But I think there's just a lot of like upper level discussion about things that aren't actually full of the substance of what everyone's sort of on their own journey of where they're headed. And we're not very honest about that with each other. There's a lot of, I don't know, stuff in the way.
Yeah.
It makes me think of the actual real answer, honestly, because, it's not like my other answer isn't real, but that's not as useful in most situations.
Useful for you.
Yeah, sure. But like actually a far more relevant and useful one is something I keep noticing more and more as I interact with more people and go through life, is there's this, of the many ways you can slice up the human condition into people who are kind of like this or more sort of like that, and the bell curves and everything, is the people I'm mostly drawn to are the ones who value sincerity over bullshit. There are a lot of people out there who don't at all value telling the truth. It's just not a thing they care about. They just want to be admired or respected or whatever. But the people I like are the ones who, like myself, want to be talking about what's really going on, want to understand the truth and share that and be direct, like actually tell the real story. Mm-hmm. And it's not like I always tell the truth, but anytime I don't, I'm annoyed. I'm like, I'm frustrated I didn't feel I could tell the truth in that situation. And working out where people are on that kind of spectrum, that's actually probably the biggest thing I'd want to know early on in an interaction. Because if they're all about the bullshit, I'm like, cool, all right, you be happy. we're just never going to connect on any kind of deep level.
Yeah,
I like that.
That makes sense.
About getting to the real stuff, then okay, now we can have a real conversation.
Yeah.
And I know everything else we talk about is going to be on that foundation.
Absolutely. All right, guys, shameless plugs. Start plugging.
Puzzles, that's it.
Magic Puzzle Company. So you can go to puzzle.biz, pzl.biz, and that'll take you straight to magicpuzzlecompany.com, which will take you straight to our Magic Puzzle Kickstarter. Or you can just, Google Magic Puzzles Kickstarter.
And it'll pop right up.
Yeah, it'll be the first result. And then you can follow us on all the things at Magic Puzzle Co. But we want everyone to buy our puzzles and tell your friends about our puzzles because we think they're cool, and we promise they'll be more fun than any other puzzle you've ever done. And that is true. We spent a lot of time working on that.
We can attest to that, having done the puzzles and having done other puzzles.
Yeah.
That was definitely the most fun we've had doing a puzzle by far. But there wasn't even a close second.
That's so awesome.
And I'll tell you,
I'm excited for the next two.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the next two because we obviously only tried one. But I will say this is like most puzzles have those frustrating moments where you're looking at a pile of the same color. These puzzles have those moments, but they're not frustrating to the point of wanting to give up. They're frustrating to the point of wanting to keep going.
Yeah.
Which is much different.
Because that is the number one reason. There were other ones, but the main reason why we hired Sarah again to do a new version of the Happy Isles, because we felt the first one, even though it didn't have many of those moments, it had more of them than we wanted. We wanted it to be flow state as much as possible. We didn't want frustration. And in the original prototype that you both did, there's a lot of trees and grass and water and sand that look similar. In the new version, there are far more I like a rocky gray volcanic island and like a darker brown sort of dirty island, and then like an icy ski slopes island. So it separates it out more to make that puzzle solving process as flowy as possible. So you actually get to do 3 new ones.
Looking forward, yeah.
Even when we did it, like, it took us a few days, but there wasn't frustration there, like, oh, forget it. It was like, it's 3 a.m., we need to go to bed. We've been...
But I think I got this one corner. I think I got it all solved.
Like, we're going to bed.
So everybody who is listening, go get these puzzles. You will not regret it. It's a lot of fun.
And thank you guys for coming on and chatting with us about it.
Of course. Absolutely. Thank you for inspiring the puzzles to be a thing in the world.
It's with my crotch. On that note.
You finally gave birth to something, honey.
Seriously, I think that story, like, if the puzzle company continues to rise, that's going to make like a great Vice magazine article about 3 years.
Oh, yeah. BuzzFeed, Vice,
I feel like you commented on because someone was like, is that the Dani I'm thinking of? And you were like, I can't read your mind. But yes.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Seriously, even post-launch, your involvement in this has led to so many hilarious, delightful moments like that.
Well, I did contribute $69 just because I could.
Nice.
Yeah, just so that's how much we believe in it. We contributed our own money to a company that we already got the puzzle from. So, just to give you an idea of how committed we were to this process.
Yeah, you guys get free puzzles for life.
Oh, I love you guys. It's good to hang out and catch up. And
yeah, it's good to see you guys. Hopefully when this is over and done with, we'll be able to get a drink and like physically be near each other.
Yeah, and go to Disneyland.
Disneyland.
I saw your mug, by the way, Jordan. Don't try and hide it.
Oh,
your Haunted Mansion.
I saw your mug over there.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Just
got my Haunted Mansion print.
I've got my Paris Disney one.
Ooh, flexing over here.
Run so right through my mug.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Bye, guys. Thank you.